Okay, so I got a little quiz for you here, okay? What do most parents do when their children get hurt? A, tell them to be more careful. B, tell them to pay more attention. C, say, you stupid idiot, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you're not dead already.
This vehicle is leaving the station. Please hold on.
Hi everybody, I'm Larry, and I'm going to introduce you here to some of the most dangerous people in the world, my kids. If your kids are like mine, they're getting hurt about 15 to 25 times a week in terms of cuts, bruises, bumps, or scrapes. How many times have you told your kids to be careful? I mean, how many times did your parents tell you to be careful? And when you got hurt, oh, you weren't careful enough. How did it work for you? Well, you probably know it didn't work at all. And yet that's what most of us are doing when our kids get hurt. We're doing the same things our parents did that didn't work for us. But that's basically how we grew up, okay? And if you think about how many serious close calls you've had, how many injuries you've had, we can do better than that now. We can actually use these cuts, bruises, bumps, and scrapes. And there are thousands of them when you're talking about a child from 1 to 10 years old. Literally, 5 to 10,000 cuts, bruises, bumps, and scrapes. Every time one of your kids gets hurt, hopefully just a minor thing, not stitches or plaster or fiberglass, but every time one of your kids gets hurt, you can actually do this with them at home, and you can help teach them how to be careful and how to avoid getting hurt in the future. There are 4 states, human factors: rushing, frustration, fatigue, and complacency. And those 4 states tend to cause people to make mistakes. Some of the mistakes can get them hurt. The 4 errors, if you will, that cause the most injuries are eyes not on task, mind not on task, moving into or being in the line of fire, or somehow losing your balance, traction, or grip. What I'd like you to do is just think about a time that you've been hurt, somewhere along at work, at home, on the road, doesn't really matter. And ask yourself, were any of these 4 states, rushing, frustration, fatigue, or complacency, involved? And then look at the 4 critical errors: eyes not on task, mind not on task, moving into or being in the line of fire, or somehow losing your balance, traction, or grip. If you're like most folks, 90 plus, 99% of all your acute injuries, even the cuts, bruises, bumps, and scrapes, it was one or more of these 4 states leading to one or more of these 4 errors, okay? We've developed 4 critical error reduction techniques, if you will, to deal with this problem. The first is that you want to learn how to self-trigger on the state. And it's recognize when you're in a rush, you're tired, or you're frustrated, and then instead of thinking about why you're in a rush, who or what you're frustrated with, when am I going to get some sleep, you want that first thought to be eyes, mind, line of fire, balance, traction, grip. The second technique is that you want to analyze the close calls and the small errors. Learn from the little ones, learn from the free ones, okay? Was it a state like rushing, frustration, or fatigue that I didn't trigger on? Or if it was complacency, Is it more of a habit that still needs more work? Especially the habits with eyes on task, mind on task, body position out of the line of fire, or balance, traction, or grip. And the third technique here, probably the best one for fighting complacency, is where you watch other people for these state-to-error risk patterns. And that'll sort of help pull your mind back. You see somebody rushing, they're not looking at where they're going. That'll help remind you, what am I doing right now? Keep my eyes and my mind on task. Okay? So those are the 4 critical error reduction techniques. And we'll be looking at those as we're looking at some of the injuries here, and analyzing, what could you do differently next time. First up is Mitchell. He's 7 years old, our second son. Mitch is very athletic. He loves to ski. He skis the double black diamond stuff, 40 to 50 degree things. Mountain bikes, skateboards. Where he gets hurt? In the bathtub. Okay, so Mitchell, just tell me what happened when you because I wasn't here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened when you cut your back there?
I was playing with bubbles, and I was looking in the mirror. And then
you were doing the Santa Claus thing
with
the bubbles? Okay.
And then I was looking in the mirror, and then I forgot, and my mom didn't tell me I wasn't allowed to do the sliding thing. So I went, and I didn't think what would happen, so I did it.
Where was the mirror when you slid? It was on the bottom of the bathtub, and you didn't know it was there?
And then the mirror slid, and then it cut my back.
Okay, and so when you slid down the bathtub, the mirror was underneath the water and stuff like that, and you hit it, and then a piece of the mirror broke, and it cut into your back.
Yeah, there was 4 pieces.
Wow. Okay. So what happened? Did you have to go? Did you just need a Band-Aid, or did you what?
No, I needed stitches.
So you had to go to the hospital and you needed stitches?
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean your mother didn't tell you not to slide down this time? She's told you before. She doesn't need to tell you every time. You should know better, and you shouldn't have been doing what you were doing in the first place. Don't know if any of that sounds familiar, like you might have heard a bit of that from your parents here and there. But kids sliding down bathtubs, Mitchell didn't invent this, okay? Kids do this kind of stuff all the time. And if I start off with you shouldn't have been doing this in the first place, I'm not really going to get him to think much about the next time he's sliding down, and is there the potential for something hard or sharp for you to slide into, bang yourself up, break bones, cut yourself badly. What I'd rather do here is get him to focus on what he was doing, the mirror, the potential danger, and see if I can get him to think these things through so that this doesn't happen to him again, instead of just yelling at him and getting him to shut down. If you think about the 4 critical errors, Mitchell, eyes not on task, mind not on task, line of fire, balance, traction, grip, which were those errors do you think happened here?
Mind not on task.
Mind not on task, right? You forgot about the mirror, right?
Eyes not on task.
Eyes not on task, couldn't see it, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you didn't really, did you lose your balance, traction, or grip, or was it just the line of fire of the mirror?
I think line of fire.
Yeah, line of fire of the mirror, because the sliding, you were doing the sliding on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There are 4 errors that'll put you into contact with some hazardous or potentially hazardous energy. Eyes not on task, mind not on task, moving into or being in the line of fire, or somehow losing your balance, traction, or grip. But Mitch, even though he was sliding, he didn't actually lose his balance, traction, or grip. That's what he was trying to do. Couldn't see the mirror because it was underneath the bubbles. Forgot about the mirror because he's a little kid and he's just playing. And after a while, the mirror's not in sight, so out of sight, out of mind. I don't know if you noticed. Just when I started going through those 4 critical errors, he puts his hand up. He's keen. I know the answer. That's not the kind of response you get from a child who thinks he's about to get in trouble or about to get punished, okay? They don't start volunteering what they were doing wrong. So, once again, you want to make this, as positive as you can, given that, he could have sliced his spine potentially or hit a major, God knows what, back there. We want to learn from this, and we want to prevent things from happening again. And, Mitchell's involved in this. He's not the, bug off, no, okay? He's participating in this, and he's participating willingly. The 4 states, rushing, frustration, fatigue, or complacency, were you rushing?
No.
Were you frustrated?
No.
Were you tired?
No.
No? What about complacent? You weren't worried about the mirror, you weren't worried about hurting yourself, were you?
Mm-mm.
No. Were you thinking about hurting yourself when you're doing the sliding?
No.
No. Okay, so the complacency leads to the mind not on task, right, Mitchell? And the mind not on task, you didn't think to look for the mirror, eyes not on task, line of fire, right? There are a number of human factors that cause people to make mistakes. But the ones that cause people to make the most mistakes, like 99+%, are rushing, frustration, fatigue, and complacency. So, I'm just going through this with Mitchell now. Were you in a rush? Were you tired? Were you frustrated? No. Were you complacent? Were you worried about getting hurt? No, he wasn't worried about getting hurt. He's thinking about having fun. He's a little kid. So, the complacency leads to the mind not on task, the mind not on task, eyes not on task, and not thinking about the line of fire. And that's how he got hurt. So, there are 4 critical error reduction techniques. Self-trigger on the state. Do you think you could have self-triggered on the state?
I don't know what self-trigger
Well,
means.
self-trigger means, when you're in a rush, you're tired, or you're frustrated, you quickly think eyes on task, mind on task, line of fire, balance, traction, grip. And then usually you don't make one of those errors. But I don't think you weren't in a rush, and you weren't tired, and you weren't frustrated, so I don't think that'll work for you here, okay? Now, when you're complacent, sometimes working on your habits, but you don't really do sliding in the bathtub and bubble baths very often, right? So that's not going to be a big help here. Watch other people. If you had seen somebody else sliding and you knew there was a mirror there, you would have thought about the mirror in your own bathtub, but there wasn't anybody there, right? So that won't help. But what about analyzing close calls and small errors to prevent agonizing over the big ones? Like the next time you're going to slide on something, Mitchell, what are you going to think about?
Hurting myself?
Well, yeah, line of fire, right? What you could slide into? Okay, so you can do that, right? When you take something like a mirror and you put it somewhere where you can't see it, sometimes that habit, if you just had to put the mirror up here, you would have been able to see the mirror. Yeah, so you got to work on your habits of it too.
Stop and think what could happen.
Right? And think about anything that could be sharp or anything that could break, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. All right, and keep it in sight, right? Keep those things in sight so that you don't forget about them because it's hard to see them. Okay, good stuff. It would have been very tempting to just leave it at that and say, okay, Mitchell, so, nothing sharp or breakable in the bathtub ever again. Do you understand? That's not necessarily going to get him to think about the soapy water if he's washing dishes in the kitchen. Might even get him to think a bit about, like not putting the sharp knives standing up in the dishwasher. He was talking to me once in the kitchen, backed up, dishwasher was open, fell right in the dishwasher. But, we'd been in the habit, if you will, of not letting anything sharp stand up there, because otherwise he'd have another scar on his back. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get Mitchell to see how to prevent the next one. And I want him to learn these techniques, even if all I'm getting him to say is no, that wasn't it, or get him to learn that sort of stuff. Get him to understand you don't slide down all the time. So a safe sliding habit isn't what we're looking for here, but maybe that habit of making sure you don't put things, sharp things, hazards out of sight. Not just for yourself, but for your brothers and sisters, and for me and your mom. We're not telling you to take the foam covers off the corners. We're not telling you to unlock the medicine cabinets or the drawers, where you've got the household cleaning chemicals. All of those things are good. But none of those things actually address the eyes on task, mind on task. Were you paying attention to what you were doing at the moment when you got hurt? And that's a critical piece in terms of primary accident causation. Just trying to make things that much better.
Hey everyone, this is Marlene from Taking Safe Start Home. Don't forget to check out the other exciting segments on this particular DVD to see how Larry's family fights getting hurt at home. For those with elementary age children, you want to see how Mitchell's mom, Donna, teaches her daughter, Mackenzie, about complacency. For those of you with teenagers, you'll see how two teen brothers can make each other safer, even when performing death-defying stunts on a skateboard. Even if you don't have preschoolers, you have got to see how Erin, one of the most adorable little girls, uses her fragile skull to put a nice dent in her bed frame. Aww. More importantly, you'll get some ideas on how to adequately prepare your babysitter to increase the safety of your child. And you'll see how smooth and savvy Larry handles his wife Donna's injury. Of course, he makes his son Taylor do the investigation instead. That'll keep him out of the line of fire. No, seriously, you'll see how even very young children can immediately increase their safety and the safety of everyone around them, even their parents. Don't forget to go to www.safestart-home.com where you can tell your Safe Start story, take a very cool course, and win some great prizes. Okay, Larry, let's take it on home.
So what do you say at the end of a safety video? Be careful? No. All you want to do is you want to tell people.
Keep my eyes on task, mind on task, watching for the line of fire. I don't want to lose my balance, traction, or grip. Cause baby, if you don't start safe, you're bound to slip. Eyes on task, mind on task, line of fire, balance, traction, or grip. If you don't pay attention, baby, you're bound to slip.